Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, long title, short story. So the title is more about really speaking about the customer use case that we have in Germany, or the use case is happening in Austria. So the good news is I think I'm the last German presentator for today. I learned today that half of the audience is German, which is really disturbing for me. So my first time in Finland, and most of the people are German. Okay, so but after me is only Jukka coming, so another Finnish speaker after me. Yes, my name is Torsten. I'm coming from INRE. We are working closely with Novotech as our distributor here in Finland, and also in the other parts of Scandinavia. And yeah, it's about a solution that helps customers to increase the knowledge about what their machines are doing and to react in real time to increase business and improve effectiveness of all these machines. So what I've learned regarding presentations is first to raise emotions and feelings, and I like your presentations before me because you used a lot of pictures and movies and everything. So I try to copy that, but only in one slide. Sorry for that. Pose a provocative thesis and tell a good story. So I try to do it in these 3 steps. So first, let's raise some emotions and feelings. So get all of you warm and calm and holiday, nice. The Finnish East Coast. And this is only for the nerds of you, you know? Some of you like dogs and kids and beaches, and others like machines and technical stuff. I'm not a technical guy. That's why I've chosen the other 2 picks before. Okay, so that topic is set. Provocative thesis. I hope Stefan stays cool and relaxed. Nobody needs OPC by themselves. So that's my thesis. Because it's not a product in that way. That's
true.
Oh.
Because we're talking about OPC UA.
Okay. Okay. I thought you would throw me out of the room. No, that's my experience in now 22 years of sales, technical sales, that nobody really needs OPC. So if you try to sell a product, an OPC product, nobody has a need for that product immediately. They only have a need for a solution, or they have a specific business need, like they would like to drive effectiveness or increase quality or lower costs or something, or they need to connect the IT level and the OT level. And to achieve this, they need a tool. And in our case, this tool is OPC as a standard common language that we can use. And this makes it so important. So the overall project, usually, like getting an OEE for, I don't know, 100 molding machines, is a really huge project, very cost-intensive project. And the part to solve the communication issue is only a very, very small part of that project, but it's really, really important, because without that small part, it wouldn't work at all. And that's what the story is about. So the story is about Greiner Packaging. It's a packaging company, as the name says, headquartered in Austria. They have more than 30 locations in 19 countries. They are mainly present in Europe, but also in North America, Mexico and India. You see the annual revenue and turnover. I think these numbers are 2 or 3 years old now. They create both food and non-food packages, and they have all kinds of customers in the automotive industry or also in the food and beverage industry. So that's the end customer that had a need. And the need was to increase the product quality and to increase productivity. And the trigger for these needs is just to maintain competitive and to sustainably secure jobs in Europe. Because, as you know, labor in Europe is more expensive than in other parts of the world. So we need to be more efficient, more effective. We need to have other differentiators like better quality to be able to compete on the global market. And that was their main driver, to have these specific goals here. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to connect all of their plastic molding machines as much as possible, and they wanted to collect data. Then they needed to develop quality parameters that tell them what to do depending on the outcome of that data, and by having these parameters, increase quality and increase productivity. That was the goal, and how they wanted to do it, step by step. As usual, and most of you are involved in project, they had some obstacles to overcome. So they had machines from different vendors, different kinds of plastic molding machines, speaking different kinds of protocols and so on, coming from out of different kinds of years. So from there, some older machines and some newer machines, pretty complex. And the most difficult thing was that the data access was not pretty easy, because most of these machine builders don't like to give much information about their data structure and how to collect that data, how to get that data, how to analyze that data, because that's their knowledge, and they did not want to open that information to end customers or system integrators or anybody else. So to get this data was very difficult from those kinds of machine vendors. So what they did, they first contacted specialists for connectivity, and this has been Kepware and InRay. So I'm mentioning Kepware because Kepware is used in that project. It could have been any other kind of OPC server, but that they've chosen Kepware in this specific case has been for a reason, and I come to that a bit later. And they had done some successful testing. They were testing Cap Server X for machine connectivity, and they were using Euromap 63 as a standard protocol and translated that into OPC via Kepware. And then they used OPC router of InRay as the overall communication platform, which then connected to an ERP and calculated an OEE KPI. So I think that the main success of that project has been a very close collaboration, because Kepware sent their developer and project leaders to Austria to have a look at these machines, to understand the machines, the specific protocols and so on. And then they developed a Euromap 63 driver, especially for that customer, which is now available as a standard driver. So every other customer can now use that driver. And it works for different kinds of plastic molding machines, companies like Engel or Kraus Maffei, or you name them. They had to do an extensive testing of an unreleased beta version, but that all of that has been of no extra cost for the end customer, because Kepware wanted to use that driver as a standard driver afterwards, after the project. So for the rollout, I come to the project structure in a second. So for the rollout, that was interesting for me. So because I'm more or less a salesperson, less a technical guy, and the company first chose to use subscription licensing. And a lot of customers are asking why subscription better than perpetual, and maybe it's the wrong question, because it's not better. It depends on the use case. And in that case, the customer hasn't been sure if the project will work out, so they just subscribed to a few licenses for a low amount of money. And after they realized that it worked out in the end, they decided to purchase the license. So that was an interesting use case. I've not had that often, that they first tried subscription licensing and then purchased perpetual licenses after that. But that was a bit special in that project. And this is more or less the project structure. It's pretty simple, even compared to what we heard about today, like PubSub and Cloud Library and everything. So if you would do such kind of a project today, you maybe would use PubSub, maybe you would use connect to a cloud-based ERP solution, maybe you would get the driver not from a Euromap 63 Kepware driver, but maybe from the machine vendor through the cloud library. All of that is possible with OPC router now, so you can access to the cloud library, take the structure of the machine builder and implement it into your connectivity solution. But the structure of the project has been pretty simple. So they have had several plants. Each plant has a diversity of PLCs and different kinds of molding machines. They were using CapServer X to translate that data into OPC and store the data into a database, store the values into a database. And they have done this for several plants. And then they were using OPC router as the OT-IT middleware to connect to those databases, get the data out of those databases, manipulate the data, like doing some calculations on it, pre-calculate the data, or take average values, and then send that data to SAP, which then showed an OE value for each single machine. So it's a pretty simple concept in the end, using two very important middleware solutions, which are both working with OPC as a standard. So Kepware, or the OPC server, is getting data from all machines every second. OPC router is delivering pre-calculated data to the ERP solutions every 1 to 2 seconds. And the system handles about 1.2 gigabyte data per day. The advantages and the outcome of that project is that the data is available in real time, which the customer didn't have before. So before that, they needed to wait sometimes 1 day before they had an information about maybe unplanned downtimes, issues with the machines, and so on. So now they know it in real time, or almost in real time, within 1 or 2 seconds. The issues are recognized immediately, so they can react even faster on those issues. They can analyze those issues and pinpoint them at once and find out what they can do better in the future to avoid this kind of unplanned downtimes and issues. And they enable the 24/7 monitoring. So with that, they also could optimize the cycle times of their machines. And they can immediately react to any issues that appear right now. And they can recognize the unplanned downtimes per machine and equipment and per downtime case and reason and so on. So, as they planned, they first did the standardization of the data. They transferred everything into OPC. Then they developed consistent quality measurement parameters themselves, so parameters that are important for them in their business. Then they evaluate the data, and then they act on this data and improve processes, calculate an OEE, define quality standards, and improve the overall effectiveness and quality. So that's why I mentioned in the beginning, it can be, OPC router can work with any kind of OPC server. Why is it Kepware? So one reason, of course, is because we are Kepware distributor. That's one reason, maybe the most important reason. But the customer tested different, I think, three or four different kinds of OPC servers, and they decided for Kepware because it has been an easy installation, it has been pretty intuitive to use, and especially the stability and the performance of that OPC server has convinced the customer to take the decision for Kepware. Not to mention that Kepware drove to Austria, and developed the Euromap 63 driver for that customer. Similar decision criteria is for OPC router. So the overall operational simplicity really convinced the customer. They can create their OT-IT connection just via drag and drop. No scripting, no coding. You don't need to be an expert to create such a connection. If you know what you're doing, you can do such a connection as shown in the previous picture within 1 or 2 minutes. They can connect to almost any kind of OT or IT system, so it's not limited to REST and databases and OPC, but they can also connect to printers, RFID systems, barcode readers, SQL-related databases, no SQL-related databases, any kind of cloud system, and so on. So the variety of connectivity options, and that it in the end has been a standard and platform-independent solution which can run on Windows, and it can also run in Docker containers on Linux operating systems. So, and as mentioned today, that OPC router supports the OPC UA cloud library. It makes that tool even more powerful because every vendor that is uploading the structure of their protocols and data can be used now in OPC router, and OPC router can then transfer that data to any kind of system, no matter if it's ERP, cloud, database, or whatever. So these have been the decision criteria. The case study with more technical details you can also find on the internet, on the PTC website. PTC is the owner of Kepware. And of course, just speak to our friends at Novotech directly here, 15 minutes away in Vantaa. They are both technical experts in Kepware and OPC router, and they love to answer your questions and needs you might have. And that's it. Yeah, that's it from my side.